following is a presentation of the Missouri Sports Network.
Good afternoon, sports fans, and welcome to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio, and as always, presented by Central Bank of the Ozarks, Great Southern Bank, Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks, Dope Propane, Shelter Insurance, Laborers Local 663, and the Bank of Billings. It is Friday night. It's 5 o'clock. Most of you just getting off of work. We have added a function here to our network, and the fact that you can actually call in and be part of the show. So if you have any comments or questions, you can give us a call, or you can just sign up and chat. As we have enabled our chat box here, so folks can call in, or they can just type us a message right here. We'll run through the schedules. We've got some top 10 matchups going on. We'll run through those as well. We'll hear from some coaches at the volleyball level, the softball level, and the football level here throughout the show here at Missouri Sports Network. As I mentioned, you can call in the show at 417-327-6914 and be a part of the show. And we'll be reminding you throughout the show that tonight at 9:30 we will have our Friday Night Live. We'll run down through all the scores and talk with some of the coaches from around not only the area, but around the state of Missouri. And right now, we'll just look at some of the things going on. Missouri Sports Network, we put out a Who You Got with regards to state ranking matchups. And we'll just start off and we'll kind of read you some of the results of those. Just those polls have just now closed, I believe. So you have to vote and on those, and we'll run through those and give you the final results. And I believe they are final, but they went final at 5 o'clock this evening, and they are final. In 8-man football, you had number 5 ranked Drexel is 5-0, and they are at Archie, who is also 5-0. And Archie is ranked number 3, and at this point, 61% of the pollsters have Archie winning this contest over Drexel. In Class 2, you've got Class 2 Mountain Grove versus Class 2 number 9 Mountain View Liberty. Mountain Grove is receiving votes. They're 4-1 on the season. Mountain View Liberty is undefeated. 74% of the people, and that's where I would lie as well. 74% of the fans believe it will be Mountain View Liberty coming out on top there. Mountain View Liberty, number 9, Class 2 is loaded throughout the state. You've got Blair Oaks. You've got Lamar, who's been in that top 3 ranking for probably a decade now. They went to the championship game a year ago. They have won 7 of the last 10 championships in Class 2, and then they were not really upset, but they were defeated by Seneca, who is also on the board here, as they're ranked number 3 in Class 2, and they will travel to Class 4, number 4 ranked Reed Spring. Seneca is 5-0. Reed Spring is 4-1. 77% of the pollsters believe Seneca will come out on top in that matchup, even though it's Class 2, and they jump up 2 spots there to or 2 classes to take on number 4 ranked Reed Spring in Class 4. Elsewhere in Class 6, got number 7 Troy Buchanan, who's 3-2, and they will take on Class 5 number 8 Timberland, who is undefeated at this time of the season. Right now, we have, let's see here, Troy Buchanan 3-2 versus number 8 Timberland, who is 5-0. Send out invite some guests here. We'll be hearing from Anthony Crane here in a moment. Get him online here, and we'll get that sent out. Boom. So he will hopefully be joining us here pretty quick. You're listening to High School Game Day here on the Missouri Sports Network, and let's see here. I just sent him the link. I hope he's gotten it. But anyway, thrilling radio here. But we are on a podcast, and we're certainly glad that you have tuned in. And we'll be joined now by Anthony Crane here in just a few minutes. And we'll run through the who you got here just a little bit more. In Class 6, you got number 3, Lee Summit North versus Class 6, number 8, Raymore Peculiar. So number 3 versus number 8. Lee Summit North 4-1 on the season. Ray-Pec is also 4-1. 72% of the voters are going with Lee Summit North in that situation. Elsewhere in our passing leaders, we get from 8-man football. Passing leaders in 8-man football, Jordan Haley with Bramer is thrown for 1,931 yards on the season. That's 386.5 yards per game this season. And we've got Anthony Crane is joining us now. We'll slip him in here. And Anthony, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing well, and I apologize. I didn't hear back, so I didn't send it out. So I'm glad we got you on the show. But tell us a little bit about what you're thinking about today here on High School Game Day.
I think the biggest game, it's a bit of a week where not a ton of great matchups. The biggest one we thought coming into the year was Archie and Drexel. Drexel being the defending state champs, and really Archie's biggest roadblock the last few years has been Drexel. With the injury to Jacob Coffey, with Drexel and him being maybe the best player in the state, that matchup's lost a bit of its luster. Drexel is they bounced back a bit the last few weeks. They've looked pretty good, but I don't know because for me, Archie's maybe the second best team in the state, and I don't know without him if they have firepower to keep up. Coach Dean's a great coach though, so there's a good chance that one becomes a little more interesting. Tonight, I'll be going to North Andrew, who obviously is the best team in the state or the number one team in the state, as they take on Stanberry, who's a bit down this year, but it's always a great rivalry.
Yeah, you look at just some of those stats. I just got done reading Jordan Haley's stats at Bramer. I mean, he's thrown for 1,931 yards. There's not really anyone in the state that's even close. The top two guys are with Gage Eddings at Pattonsburg over 1,700. Then you drop down, you go to 11-man football. You got Cole Furbacher at Glendale, who's I think 1,609 on the season. But just some silly numbers going up. And then you had the 10 touchdowns or 11 touchdowns with the kid from Warwick. I believe that was last week. Setting just some crazy numbers. It's got to be fun to follow along.
Yeah. Jordan, he's a great player. Bramer, they really struggled for a while. They were just, not a good team. And they got this class with Jordan and some of those kids, and things started to look up. Last year they took a few steps. I think they went winless their first 2 years in 8-man. And now you're finally starting to see that come to fruition a little bit. They don't play really any defense. And they kind of took a page from, those Pattonsburg teams of old where it's just flinging the rock all over the place. And he does a great job of it. And so they're a fun team. We'll see if they can figure out any defense or whether they're just, just going to try and outscore everyone. They have a big matchup at the end of the year with North Shelby, who's also undefeated. Those schools that in their conference, not a ton of great teams. So that'd be maybe their biggest test of the year. North Shelby also gets, Oric the week before, who's also, kind of just trucking along as well. So those teams, it's going to be interesting the last few weeks. And if you look across 8-man in general, especially up here, in the GRC, those things get interesting with Albany having 2 top 5 wins the last 2 weeks. Then they get North Andrew next week. And for North Andrew, their schedule really takes a tick up this week with Stanberry, then Albany, and then Worth County. So it should be a fun final few weeks of the season.
Yeah, and it's the 8-man football. Now you've got more teams coming down here to the south. That used to be typically just kind of in the northwest portion of the state, up there in
Mm-hmm.
your area. And now you've got the likes of Osceola and Jasper, I believe, and Greenfield maybe down here at
Mm-hmm.
Lockwood. Um, going into 8-man football, and it's a completely kind of a different game. It's almost like a 7-on-7 passing league, so to speak. It's much more offensive as far as
Mm-hmm.
numbers they put up, and a lot of fun to watch. It's not something I think it would be difficult to go from coaching uh, from an 11-man to 8-man. Where I think in the 8-man to 11-man may be a little bit easier than to go down to 11-man. What's your, or I'm sorry, go down to 8-man. What's your thoughts there as far as the dynamics of the game?
It's just defense. Defense is hard to coach when you're subtracting players on that side of the ball because offensively, and why teams have so much success is really you're just losing 2 or 3 linemen. Everything else is fairly normal. It's a little bit tougher to cover that. And I think one of the bigger problems at the 8-man level is because we've seen great defenses. They're a bit rare, um, but you have to have dudes. Because 11-man, I think you can get by with 5 or 6 dudes defensively that can make you a good defense. And 8-man is a little more difficult. Smaller field, obviously, so you're not going as far. But those teams in the South that you spoke of, they tend to like it. Lockwood, they had a discussion after last year of maybe going back up at some point, but they've really enjoyed the 8-man level. They get more publicity that way because Class 1 schools often kind of get forgotten about. They're the smallest of a big group, while 8-man you're still kind of individualized because that's you and that's what you get. But I think we have seen an evolution as those teams down south start to figure that out. Lockwood is great offensively, and again, they got the 8-man thing down where they're not good defensively. But I think it usually takes these teams a couple years to kind of get things going. And normally, if you're moving down, there's a reason for that,
Right.
and it's just the supply of football players isn't good enough, or not football players, but just students in general isn't high enough for you to continue at 11-man, which tends to mean your talent pool is a little bit smaller. And so it takes time. Greenfield's one of those teams where they have a ton of young kids. You look across that roster, it's freshmen and sophomores. So that may be a team that, in a year or two, you'll start to see them kind of grow the same as we've seen with, teams like Bramer, who is finally starting to figure it out. That's kind of what we look for. If you look at a team that's struggling, that you always hope for that silver lining of, well, they're just freshmen, sophomores, and they're starting, and hope they get it figured out. Um, but yeah, I really enjoy having the South. Being from down there, it's nice to like next week. It's unfortunate there's a shortage of officials, but it's also beneficial for guys like me because then Thursday night I can go to Liberal, Friday night I can go to Lockwood, and so it's being from down there. I enjoy seeing those teams. I wish everyone could play 11-man, but that's just the world we live in.
As you look at the districts, and they're with regards to the point systems, the multiple or the formula, so to speak. Um, is this about the time of year where folks start really paying attention to that as coaches, thinking, okay, we got to maybe move up here, we got to try and get a home game, in the districts, and of course there's 1 week shorter in both 8-man and Class 6 because there's just not as many teams there
Yeah.
participating, so it's a week shorter um, in the postseason. But do you think coaches right now are kind of starting to look at those district seeds right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And this year's a bit weird because in one district we have the number 1, number 2, number 4, number 6, number 7 team, and the number 10 team in the state. So they're all in that one, or excuse me, just the. But yeah, so we have 6 teams that are in our top 10 that are all in that one district. So that makes things really interesting. We've had that conversation about how we wish it could be done differently. Um, but Michigan's going to do what they want to do, and it's just one of those years where you have so much talent in that one district that now you could have. We were talking last week. If the season ended last week, the number 4 team in the state would have to go through the number 6 team and then the number 1 team in their first 2 rounds. So that one's really interesting. It's crazy time. Sometimes you wish you could do things differently, but you just got to enjoy it, and that'll make that in or that district a whole lot of fun to see how that shakes out. And funny enough, in that semifinal this year, it'll be the Class 4 district with all those teams against the winner of likely Archie Drexel, who would be again a top 5 team, and so it's gonna maybe make for a lesser state title game because it's going to shake out that way. Because Nate, man, you're looking like the semifinal is really the state title game, just because those that other half isn't as talented as the class or the District 4 and District 2.
Well, yeah, the quarterfinal game. After that game, you could have 7 of your top 10 teams eliminated.
Yeah,
and so then you're going into those semis with 4 teams that maybe one of them's just one of them's ranked.
Yeah.
And you run into that a little bit in the Class 6, where you've got the Lee Summit North and the Liberty North, and some of those teams are all in the same district. And you've got the bottom part of that bracket. You have the Nixa, the Joplins, the Rapex are all in that district there as well. Then you get into St. Louis, where you got CBC, Smet, Vianney, all in the same district.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. Right now, you start looking at those district seeds, from 8-man all the way up through Class 6, and see who's on top right now. How are they going to maintain that and get at least 2 home games out of it? In some cases, you could get 3 home games.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that's kind of how it was for those teams trying to get through Webb City. There were some talented teams that you'd hit that district championship game, and your season ended despite you being one of the better teams in the state. I don't know how you fix it because it's one of those things. Those bigger schools like the Webb Cities, the CBCs, Rapex, all those schools tend to always be good. An 8-man, it'll shake out a little bit because teams, for the most part, will go up and down. And, so that District 4 next year, not exactly the gauntlet that it is this year. But I love high school football, and so whatever happens at the end of it happens. I just try to enjoy the ride along the way.
Yeah, I live in Bolivar, Missouri, and for a decade, with Lance Roten, when Lance Roten was here, Bolivar was pretty good, but 7 of those 10 years, Webb City ended their season. And they just couldn't get by Webb City, and then Webb City went to Class 5, and Bolivar runs into Hannibal. And so it just was a struggle to get there, but Webb City's 3-2, and everybody's counting them out. Well, you can't count Webb City out. They were 3-3 at one point last year, I believe, and went on to win the state title. And it's it's by the year, Coach Roderick, he'll have those guys. They'll be well trained, and you just can't count them out. But
my sophomore year, we ran into Webb City in the semifinals, and it wasn't good, but that is one of the probably the coolest atmosphere, at least playing wise, that I ever played in. It's amazing the amount of kids they get out, the amount of people that go to those games. It was so much fun, and so you can kind of see how they feed off of that and how they continue to be good year after year after year.
Yeah, the superintendent at Webb City was a roommate of mine when we were with the Mickey Young Baseball School, and I had to call him one time, just about 5 or 6 years ago, and said, "Hey, can I get in the stadium just a little bit early?" He said, "Yeah." I get down there 2 hours early. There's 3,000 people in line. I mean, they were lined up, and it was. I think that was a Carthage night. I think they were playing Carthage that night, and that's been a huge rivalry. And and Webb City, now Nixa has the job that John Perry's done at Nixa, very similar to what Coach Lehrman, Andy Lehrman's done up at Liberty North. Liberty North
Mhm.
had that 4-6, 4-7. They're just kind of on that roll. And then when he and Greg Jones got there, came up from Kearney, and took that program over. Last year they went to the state championship game, and then Greg Jones goes on to University of Oregon, and Lehrman's now he's got them. They're 5-0 right now. They have ranked number 1 in the state. We're going to hear from him just a little bit later on in the show. But those really that Nixa and Liberty North very very similar in those kind of turnarounds.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Nixa had been good. I mean, even when Coach Rehagen was there, they were good. Sorry, I knocked my microphone over.
At least it's working this week.
Yes, that was. And we got the board fixed here, so we can now take phone calls from folks and get them right on the air. So we hope to get some more coaches involved tonight on the Friday Night Live show.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't have to get on their computer or their camera phone, and try to do it on the school bus. So hopefully that'll all work out tonight. But so what do you do from here? First off, tell us a little bit about how folks, if they want to follow you. Obviously, here at Missouri Sports Network and Scoreboard Guy, we follow you and retweet and like and things that
Yeah.
you've done. How can just the folks maybe that are tuned in, how can they follow along?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me, Crane_Anthony on Twitter. But really, the best thing to do is to follow Mo8Man on Twitter and Facebook. Devin, he does a great job. I let him handle all the Excel spreadsheets, the stats, everything like that. He's really good about doing that and getting those up to date. We also have the website, Missouri8manfootball.com. There, I'll do some writing occasionally, and we'll post all those stats and photos and everything else. We're just about everywhere trying to, it's funny when you see the analytics of it all. You can kind of see the age groups, the kids, they love Instagram, younger generation still on Twitter a bit, and then you have everyone on Facebook. So that's why, we try to cover all our grounds and get everyone on the information and stuff we can get. That's kind of why we started this, is so that these tiny schools throughout the state can get some recognition. And so.
Very good. Very good. Well, we certainly appreciate you being part of the show today here on High School Game Day, and we'll be following along tonight. And maybe we'll visit. Maybe we'll visit at 9:30 or something. Now that just call. You don't have to go find it. But
yeah,
we hope.
And next week we have some big school action up here that should be a good one. Savannah Savages are undefeated. Maryville has a couple losses against some bigger schools, but that should be a fun one in the MEC. With St. Pius dropping one, MEC's up in the air, and it hasn't really been like that in a while. It's been a back and forth with Pius and Maryville, and so Coach, I don't know if you know Anthony Hayes. He was down south a bit, down there in Branson, but
played right here at Southwest Baptist and did his student teaching at Bolivar.
Yeah, he's done a great job with that Savannah program, and he's kind of got them rolling. And so that should be fun next week as well.
Yeah, both coaches, the coach at Matt Webb at Maryville, also ties to Bolivar. His wife is from Bolivar. So I visited with him, and we're going to be up in that area in St. Joe. We're doing a quarterback club. Hopefully next week we'll come up, and I'm going to try and get Coach Hayes. And Coach Webb won't be able to come down because that's about an hour and a half drive for him, I think.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. Yeah.
Down to St. You're in St. Joe too, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, we'll make sure and get that date to you, and get some of those GRC schools over there, some 8-man schools over there, and just have
That'd be great.
And we pay for the coaches to eat. They just got to show up during lunchtime. I know it's school day, but we do it every Monday down here in Springfield at Pizza Ranch, and kind of rotate the coaches in and out from Springfield and local schools. So we've got Marshfields and Bolivar and Buffalo and schools like that participate, and Stratford, Fairgrove, Willard, Republic. So we get Nixa Ozark come up as well. So we'll make our way up there probably. Well, I don't know if it'll be next week, but definitely by the week after. But we'll keep you guys up to date on that when we get up there. So
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Just let me know, and I kind of get the word out and
you bet.
see if I can get you some more schools.
You bet. Well, Anthony, and I apologize about the link mix up, and I apologize for last week, but
Oh,
at
no
least
worries.
everything's working right now, and we'll get it to go. But thanks so much for being part of the show.
Yeah, we'll talk again soon.
You bet. Anthony Crane from Missouri 8-man football, in the GRC. Right now, we're going to play a little interview that we did earlier this week with Lutheran North head football coach Andy Lehrman. So here's that interview. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage. Presented, as always, by Central Bank of the Ozarks, Doak Propane, Great Southern Bank, Labor's Local 663, Shelter Insurance, and the Bank of Billings, and coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio here in studio. Pleased to be joined now by Liberty North Eagles head football coach Andy Lehrman. And Coach Lehrman, first off, thanks so much for your time today.
You bet. Thank you for having me. Excited to talk with you.
You bet. First year as the head coach, you're not unfamiliar to Liberty North, as you came in back in 2017 with Coach Jones, Greg Jones from Kearney, who has since moved on after going to the state championship a year ago. You guys have really got it rolling here over the last 3 years, 36-6 since 2019. Can you point to maybe a group, a class, or a person, or maybe a game? Maybe you go back to that October of 2019 win over Staley 24-12. We thought, hey, we've got it rolling now. They were a very good program that year. Can you go back and point to maybe that turning point in the program?
Yeah, our second year, we came in and Liberty North had a little bit of history of having some good football early on, and they kind of had a few down years. And Coach Clemens left, Coach Jones and the rest of us kind of came over. And our first year was pretty rough. Our second year got better. I think in our second year we lost all of our games by less than 6 points. I mean, we had several close games, and the guys were just trying to kind of figure out how to win. Our third year here, that class kind of struck gold a little bit. We had a great year. We had some big wins. We beat teams that we hadn't early on and kind of got over the hump of those things. That class was the first group we'd had for our first full 3 years. So we'd had them since they were sophomores, and we kind of started ingraining the culture into them, and they understood how important weight room was to us, important to doing the right things and practicing the right way. And man, that group just kind of took it and ran with it. And we've always felt like that second year here, that group kind of figured out, but our third year, that class, that senior class, really did a tremendous job. And they've kind of just taken it and ran with it from then. The kids have just from year to year just picked it up and carried it forward and continued to move it forward. And the success just kind of speaks for itself.
11-2 a year ago, finished second in the state. Coach Jones takes a job at Oregon, so goes a long way from his hometown in Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
You step in and announced on March 23rd of 2022 that you would be the head coach, and now you've continued that. You've got it rolling. Tell us a little bit about your team this year.
Yeah, so we're a super experienced group. Coach and I joke, we talk pretty often still, and he jokes with me that he didn't leave the cupboard bared for me. So, obviously we've got some great kids. It's nothing special we're doing. I tell them all the time, they're the magic. I mean, our staff's a great staff, the continuity in the staff, everyone stuck around, after Coach took another job. And so, a lot of us have been around each other for several years. We were at Kearney together. And so, I think that's a big piece of it, honestly, is that our staff has had a lot of continuity. We understand each other. We know our schemes. And so those things didn't change. It was kind of a seamless transition. It went from having a Cajun voice talking to a guy from small town Missouri talking, but there just wasn't a whole lot of difference. I've got a lot of culture ingrained in me from Coach and the things that he's taught me over the years. I was with him for over 10 years. And so, the things that he taught me and I learned through him are still a big part of what I do and the things that we do within our program. We've got an experienced group of kids. We've got several kids. We brought back 9 on defense from last year. We had to replace the 2 corners. And honestly, the 2 corners we haven't missed a beat. But but we've got just a group of kids that have 2-3 year starters on it. And so that the DNA, so to speak, of our team right now is our defense. And they just do a great job of doing the things we need to do versus different schemes each and every week. We've got a great kicker in Blake Craig, who's going to go to Mizzou next year. He's an Under Armour All-American kid. He's just a tremendous kicker for us and a great weapon. We've got our offensive group, who's probably our biggest question mark coming in this year. We graduated several kids. Our offensive line had graduated 4 out of 5 starters, but we have probably, in my opinion, one of the best offensive line coaches in the state, and Coach Llewellyn. Dan Llewellyn, who was at Kearney back when Mark Thomas was there back in 2002, 2003. And so he's kind of been there, done that, and he just does a good job of creating linemen out of whatever he's got. And it just kind of continues to grow those guys and get them better. And I think each week this week, they've continued to get better, even through injuries. We've had guys step up and do that. And so our offense is kind of starting to click. And so we feel like the last couple of weeks, we started kind of click on all cylinders with our defense, special teams, and our offense playing together. But if you ask me one thing, I think it's just an experienced group of kids that understand what the expectation and the standard is. And they allow us to push them and coach them hard. And they just don't want to be the team that lets anybody down. So they continue to work to do that.
As you look at your district right now, you're sitting, sitting at the top of that district with regards to the point systems. When do coaches kind of start looking at that district, those numbers, and then kind of game plans? Hey, we maybe need to score this many points. We need to hang on, because you want to play as many home games as you can, obviously.
Yeah. So here in Kansas City, especially in the Metro, we end up playing a lot of the same teams we play in conference. So for us, you try not to look too much at those district standings, but you also understand some of those teams you play, you might be fighting for seeds. You're going to get the tiebreaker over them if you win. So each game around here is important, just because how the close proximity of everybody that's playing each other. It's a little different than South I-70, where some of those teams, at least Summit North, and those teams kind of come south to play. We're right here in the city, and we're going to play each other. And so, whether it's a conference game or just a non-conference game, our games are all important. And so we kind of try to keep an eye on that district standings, just to kind of get a feel for, hey, how's this going to work out? What's it going to look like if we win or lose this game? Obviously, we don't make it a focal point, but as a coach, you're kind of looking at that, getting an idea each and every week. A prime example of that was a couple weeks ago playing Rockhurst. I mean, they're in our district, and obviously they've got a very tough schedule. And so no matter what their record might be, their strength of schedule may bump them up a little bit. They're playing Bentonville, Arkansas, and Bishop Miege out in Kansas. And so you're trying to get a win over those guys, not only to win the game, but you also understand that they may end up being the second or third seed, whatever it might be. And there's a chance that you're going to be able to hop them if you have a tiebreaker over them.
As you look at this point in your season, and everybody's got bumps and bruises and things like that, but are you relatively healthy overall?
Yeah, we're just starting to get healthy. Week one, we have a defensive end, Javon Smith, who's going up against Caden Green, the big offensive tackle at Lee Summit North, and ended up getting a separated shoulder. And so he's been out several weeks. He's a Division I defensive end at 6'4", 240. He's just a great player for us. And he's finally getting back to where he might have a chance this week and possibly next week to kind of get back in the lineup. We had a lineman get hurt. We've just kind of had some bumps and bruises. And honestly, we've kind of had a little bit of sickness run through our team. So as far as guys getting strep and the flu and that kind of thing. So we've kind of been battling it. We feel like we kind of joke in the office. Hopefully it's kind of all getting over with. So down the home stretch, we'll have an opportunity to be healthy. But we're finally starting to get there. We've got a few guys that are still a little bit banged up, but we're hoping in the next couple of weeks that'll all kind of take care of itself.
How much, with Class 6 just being the 32 teams, how much do you pay attention to the area? I mean, to the state of Missouri? You're looking at, what Nix has done. I kind of look at what their numbers, their wins and their kind of turnaround last couple of years have been very similar to Liberty North and what you guys have been able to do here in the recent years. And do you check in on the St. Louis schools? Are you kind of watching the entire state?
Yeah, as a coach, I think you do. You just kind of keep an overall view of what's going on, because down the road, depending on how things go, you might run into some of those teams. I know the districts are lined up a little bit different this year, so we're going to see some east side, south side of the state type teams a little bit earlier than we would last year. And so just trying to kind of keep an eye on who those teams are and what they're doing. But as a team, we try to just kind of stay focused on the next game, just like everybody else. Looking right at that next one, because we know around here, especially in the Metro, each and every week, there's somebody that can knock you off if you're not on your A game. And so just trying to kind of stay prepared with the team. But overall, yeah, definitely. I've noticed Nix is doing a great job down there. And, obviously CBC's got a great squad again this year. And so just kind of keeping a bird's eye view, so to speak, of those teams.
Now, going in here, you're 5-0 going into week 6. You've got Blue Springs. What are you going to have to do there to come out on top? You have them at home this week.
Yeah, so we got them at home. It's homecoming, so as a head coach, you're always kind of concerned about all the distractions all week long that go along with that. But Coach Polson's he's doing a great job, and they started out 0-3, and they got a new coach and a little bit of a new staff and some turnover there, and so they've won the last 2 games. And so I've told our kids, they're starting to kind of come around and they're learning what their identity is a little bit. And we're gonna have to stop the run game with them. They do a great job of running the football and finding ways to do that. We played them last year in our first playoff game, and they gave us everything we wanted and more. It was a heck of a ball game, 34-31, I think. And so our guys understand that they're going to come ready to go. They're going to be well prepared. They've got a couple really good running backs and a pretty good receiver that they put out there. The quarterback scrambles around a lot. So we're going to have to do a good job defensively of trying to bottle those things up like we've done the last few weeks. And I think the biggest thing for us right now is just not getting complacent and not feeling comfortable. I think that's a battle that every coach gets. But I think when a team like ours right now that knows they're playing pretty good, they're undefeated, and just understanding that each and every week's a new week. And so trying to keep them dialed in and keep them focused on the immediate goal, not the overwhelming goal, and listening to their newspaper clippings and how everybody thinks they're good. So we're trying to keep them humble around here and just try to keep them focused on the next one.
Outstanding. Well, Coach Lehrman, as always, I greatly appreciate you being generous with your time today. I know it's hectic when you've got school. We heard the bells go off at one time here.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. We do it every day with coaches and athletes, so it's not something that's unexpected. But for you to step away and give us 10, 12, 15 minutes of your time, we really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Well, it's been a joy talking to you, and it's awesome the things you're doing for high school sports. I'm excited to follow you along a little bit more now that I know more about it.
All right, very good.
Yes, sir.
Again, Liberty North head football coach Andy Lehrman here, part of the Missouri Sports Network here on High School Game Day. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us, take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow, and keep it right here at the Missouri Sports Network.
After a long day, a few simple words can make everything better.
Pizza's here!
To end your day the right way, count on the carry-out and delivery experts at your local Pizza Ranch.
Hey, welcome back to the Missouri Sports Network, and coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio. Guy Newcomb, the scoreboard guy, alongside. Just a few more minutes here remaining in the show. I want to run through just some of the Class 6 matchups here going on this evening. CBC is up in Indianapolis taking on Bishop Chatard. Lee Summit West is at Blue Springs South. Lee Summit West is 2-3. Blue Springs South 3-2. Nixa takes their undefeated record down to Carl Junction. Ozark at 1-4 goes to Carthage, who is 4-1 and ranked number 1 in Class 5 in the state. Hazelwood Central goes to Hazelwood West. Both of those are Class 6 District 2 members. Jefferson City, who is Class 4, will take on Hickman. Columbia Hickman, who is Class 6. Hickman is 1-4. Jeff City 2-3 on the season. Republic will go to Joplin, and that's a game you probably want to keep an eye on. Republic's Class 5, Joplin Class 6, but Republic is starting to run the ball really well. And under new coach, second-year coach Ryan Cornelson, the Republic is going to be a handful here down the stretch. They're Class 5 District 6 members. West Plains will be at Kickapoo. West Plains is 4-1, Kickapoo 3-2, both Ozark Conference members. St. Louis Marquette will be at Kirkwood. Marquette 4-1, Kirkwood 2-2. Oak Park, who is Class 5 District 8, they're undefeated. They'll play at Lee Summit, who is 2-3 on the season. Staley 3-2, go to Liberty, who is also 3-2. They're both members of that Class 6 District 4. Another matchup in Class 6 District 4 will be Blue Springs at Liberty North. We just got done talking to Coach Andy Lehrman about Liberty North's team. Liberty North ranked number 1 in Class 6, 5-0 on the season. Northwest Cedar Hill, 0-5, will be at Oakville, who is 3-2. Park Hill will be at Park Hill South. Park Hill 1-4, Park Hill South 2-3. Eureka, who is 5-0. They're Class 5 District 2 members. They will be at Pattonville. Pattonville's 4-1. They're Class 6 and a member of District 2. Lee Summit North is at Raypeck. Both teams 4-1 on the season. Both members of that Class 6 District 3. And Lindbergh, who started off 3-0, is now 3-2. Will travel to Rittenhour, who is 4-1. They're both Class 6 members. Lindbergh in District 1, Rittenhour in District 2. Lutheran St. Charles will be at Rockbridge. Lutheran St. Charles is Class 3, Rockbridge Class 6, so they're going to pick up 30 bonus points there. St. Thomas Aquinas out of Kansas over the park will be at Rockhurst. Parkway South is at Seckman. Seckman 4-1, they're Class 6 District 1 members. Parkway South 5-2. Troy Buchanan 3-2 will travel to Timberland, who is undefeated at 5-0. And a couple of 2 and 3 teams match up at SLU as DeSmet travels to St. Louis University High School. Troy Buchanan is at Timberland. Chaminade is at Vianney. Moving down in Class 5 action, Smith Cotton is at Battle. Green Valley at Belton. Oliver is at Camden. Camden 5-0 in the Ozark Conference and state ranked in Class 5. Elias Catholic will travel to Capital City. Elias is 3-2. Cap City is 4-1. Lighthouse Christian, private school, or homeschool actually, kids will be at Springfield Central. Springfield Central is 3-2 on the season. Cape Central will be at Farmington. Cape Central's 2-3. Farmington 3-2. St. Joe Central will be at Fort Osage. Francis Howell Central at Francis Howell North, both members of Class 5 District 3. Central is 3-2 on the season. Howell North is 2-3. Washington will be at Fort Zumwalt East. Vashon is at Fort Zumwalt North. Liberty Wentzville will be at Fort Zumwalt South. Francis Howell at Fort Zumwalt West. Ladue will be at Lafayette. Glendale will be at Lebanon. Implications here in the Ozark Conference. Glendale 4-1 on the season. Lebanon is 5-0. Oak Park 5-0 will be at Lee Summit. Webster Groves is at Melville. Lutheran North, last 3 will go to MICDS, who's 5-0. They're Class 5 District 2. Branson is at Neosho. Good matchup there. Branson 1-4. Neosho 2-3. Truman will be at North Kansas City. Holt is at North Point. Raytown will be at Platte County. Fox is at Poplar Bluff. Parkview is at Rolla. Kearney, undefeated in Class 4, will be at Ruskin, who is 1-4 on the season, Class 5 school. Jackson will be at Sykeston. Raytown South is at Smithville. Smithville, Class 4, defending state champions, 4-1 on the season, lost to Kearney earlier this year. Willard is at Webb City. Willard winless on the season. Webb City 3-2. Minnetonka will be at William Chrisman. Those are some of the games going on around the state. You look down into Class 3, you got University City at Afton. California is at Boonville. Butler at Buffalo. Butler's Class 1, District 4. Butler's Class 1. Buffalo is Class 3, District 6. Dexter will be at Caruthersville. DeSoto is at Fredericktown. Osage at Hallsville. New Madrid Central will be at Kennett. Kennett 5-0, Class 3, District 1. New Madrid Central is Class 2, District 1. Chillicothe is at Lafayette. Aurora is at Marshfield. Benton is at Maryville. Fulton at Mexico. Marshall is at Moberly. Marshall 0-5 on the season. Warrensburg will be at Odessa. Owensville at Pacific. Normandy at Riverview Gardens. Eldon will travel to Southern Boone. Those are a few of the games going on around the state. We'll take some time now and talk a little softball. Our Chevyers of the Ozarks Athlete of the Week from Polo High School, and get to hear from her right now. Sports Network.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. And find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Chevrolet.
Hey, welcome back. My apologies. That is from Joplin tennis player Emma Watts. So my apologies there. She's a three-time COC defending champion of the Central Ozark Conference. So we'll go back to that. My apologies.
Step into the new when you drive a Chevy. It's time for a fresh approach and a new perspective. And find the Chevy that's right for you. Find new experiences, find new roads. Chevrolet.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, and welcome to the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage, coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio, and as always, brought to you by Central Bank of the Ozarks, Labor's Local 663, the Bank of Billings, Doak Propane, Shelter Insurance, and Great Southern Bank. Certainly glad you tuned in here for our Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks segment. Our athlete of the week, we go down to Joplin, Missouri, and to the head tennis coach down there, Coach Ben Coltharp. And Coach, hey, thanks so much for making this possible today.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity. I'm glad we could talk with you guys.
Coach, tell us just from the team standpoint so far, what I know you guys are getting ready to go into districts probably next week.
Yep.
Just kind of give us just kind of an overview of this season.
This season, we've had a lot of great wins and a lot of opportunities to learn from some of the losses we've had. We've played a lot of tough opponents to try to prepare us for the districts and beyond. So we've had a great season. We won some, we've lost some. So, but each day we got better and better, and we kept competing. Give it all we got.
But tell us a little bit about the district, where it's going to be, who's hosting it, and who's involved.
So it's, of course, because Joplin, the size of Joplin, we are mostly with all the Kansas City schools, or most of the Kansas City schools. So we have all the Lee Summits, west, north, and then Lee Summit itself. We have Raymore Peculiar, and then we have Carthage, and then a new team this year is Barstow, which is a private school up in the Kansas City area. Barstow won the Class 2 championship last year, and so they got bumped up a class. So it's a tough district, that's for sure, but we're going to go out and compete like normal, and like I said, give it all we got. Lee Summit North is the host this year, so we'll be heading up there after school today to compete tomorrow. So,
Coach, give us an idea of numbers. Are numbers good? I know you can just play your top six,
mm-hmm.
And then top three doubles. But what are the numbers like at Joplin?
Right. So right now we have 30 players this year, which it keeps growing and growing. I believe a couple of years ago we had about 14 or 15. It was 12. So we had a small team, and then kind of grew to 20, and then this year we're at 30. So it's 30 might be a lot to manage sometimes, but it's a good problem to have. It's a lot of interested players in the sport, and that's how you grow the sport, is to get a lot of players out and hitting.
Yeah, again, we're visiting with Joplin head tennis coach Ben Coltharp, and our Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks athlete of the week, Emma Watts, the three-time defending champion of the COC. Coach, tell us a little bit about Emma and what makes her special.
Well, so this is my first year coaching at Joplin High School. I coached the last 2 years at Carl Junction, and so I'm aware of Emma's ability the last couple of years of coaching, and it was kind of always frustrating playing against her, over at Carl Junction. And last year I thought she was already a senior, and so I didn't think I would have to play against her, but I learned she was a junior. So coming over here, I'm glad that she was only a junior, and I had one year to be her coach. But Emma's, she's the epitome of a team player. She gives it everything she's got. She's focused. She's determined. She's not going to go down without a fight. So I think she would say her more enjoyable playing is doubles. I think she likes doubles more. and which is, obvious with the last 2 years, her sophomore and junior year, she played. She went to state in doubles, and so she likes doubles. But this year she's playing singles, so she's still a heck of a singles player. And we said 3-time COC champion, but I think freshman year, I think she got second. So she was close to being 4-time COC champion. So she's had a great high school career so far.
Well, if you can't beat them, join them.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And Emma, first off, on behalf of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations on being named an Athlete of the Week.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how you got started playing tennis, who influenced you, and have you turned into a recruiter now? We talked about the numbers going way up, but what got you involved and who influenced you?
I decided to play tennis in high school the February before my freshman year. Our coach my freshman year came to our middle school, and I got to play with him a little bit, and I found out I really enjoyed it. And our assistant coach also is the reason I started to play. Her name's Coach Dresch, and she always encouraged us to go play tennis and stuff like that. And she's kind of what got me into it. And yeah, I really enjoy it. So.
Well, tell me a little bit about your game. Are you a big hitter from the back row? Do you like to serve and go to the net? Tell us a little bit about if I can't watch you, what I can expect.
I like to target people's backhands. Usually that's a weaker shot for most people. And then that's when they give me a weaker shot back, I can charge the net and put an in the point that way is usually what I go for.
And Coach Coulthard mentioned doubles. And not many people believe this, but I played tennis as a freshman.
Yeah.
And I love doubles. I played number 5 singles, but I was number 1 doubles. And we got an opportunity to go to state when I was a freshman. There was 2 of us freshmen, and I had a ball play. There's just something about doubles that I love, and partly because I couldn't win anything if I was playing by myself. But tell us a little bit about what you enjoy most about the doubles part of it.
My partner, my sophomore and junior year, was Astrid. We had great chemistry, and that's what made me enjoy it so much because we were like best friends. And so playing the game together, we just bonded so well that it made us a really good team. And we were both talented players, I think. So.
Tell us a little bit about the rivalries, and I don't mean anything negative, but I mean there's people out there that you enjoy playing because they're gonna make you better. What are matches that you really look forward to?
I always look forward to the CJ match because me and the number 1 from CJ, we train together. And I also always look forward to the Thomas Jefferson match because we all train together, and so it's always interesting to see who will come out on top.
Oh, so give me an idea of how long. I mean, you say train together, so you're on the court, or you have indoor courts available to you. What does the training look?
There's a athletic.
All right. School's got right now, so that's what you hear right now. So. It's we can probably just talk a little bit louder if that.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you fine.
Okay. We've trained together since we were younger, and we have a Joplin athletic complex, and that's where we train at. And it's an outdoor facility.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit now. You're a senior.
Yeah.
So have you made a decision as far as next year, what you're going to do, in the future? I know you've still got districts and state in front of you, but have you even thought about what you're going to do after high school?
Right now I'm thinking about going to Kansas University, and I would like to play club tennis out there. I don't think I want to do anything other than that, just so I can keep enjoying it.
Right.
And things like that. So.
And you got any idea what you want to study? You want to be a coach?
I would like to go into the medical field. I'm tossing around a couple of ideas right now, like anesthesiology or pathology, something in that range, but because I enjoy science a lot.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, once again, Emma, on behalf of the Missouri State Highway Patrol and Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks and the Missouri Sports Network, congratulations on being named the Chevy Dealers of the Ozarks Athlete of the Week.
Thank you so much.
You bet. You're watching the Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage, and we're live from the Pizza Ranch studio.
Pizza Ranch serves buffet your way.
Don't you mean my way, Mr. Voiceover Guy?
Sure, anyone's way, actually. Request your favorite pizza. We'll make it, bake it, and give you the first slice.
I can add peppers to pepperoni, Stampede on stuffed crust, maybe Texan taco on thin. No tomatoes on my half. How can I convince Mom to let us eat here every night?
It's buffet your way at Pizza Ranch. Say it with me, kid.
And welcome back. We're still live here at the Missouri Sports Network. And that Pizza Ranch where you order it I didn't know they did that. And I know you've got a Pizza Ranch right there in Joplin, and I've eaten several times at the one here in Springfield. But, hey, you can order it your way. But you're watching Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com. And as always, the Missouri State Highway Patrol reminds us to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow. And keep it right here at MissouriSportsNetwork.com. Hey, welcome back to High School Game Day. I know folks are heading out right now, and a lot of folks already on the road headed towards their ball games tonight. Keep us updated. You can tweet at Scoreboard Guy or at Missouri_sports, and keep it right here, and we will update scores throughout the evening. And then we will have Friday Night Live at 9:30, from 9:30 until 11. Certainly glad you tuned in, and have a great evening. Everybody stay safe.